Hello everyone, it's James from Theresas Soundworld. Now this is a message for bands and artists, and it's about music that you may want to submit to me for review. Now, if you've got a track, an EP, an album or a music video that you'd like me to consider, then please send me a message via the Theresas Soundworld Facebook music page. So I am an alternative music blog page, so even though I'm very open-minded about music, I need to make sure that I'm reviewing the right genre and the right music for me and for my readers. So it's not a question of being personal or being a snob, it's just I'm just going to list a few sort of the genres that I review just to give you a bit of an idea really. So I do review indie music, and that can be from anything from indie pop to shoegaze to dream pop, also punk music from folk punk to pop punk to hardcore punk, alternative music, alternative rock. I know there's bands that identify themselves as neo-grunge these days. There's quite a lot of music around like that, so I'm happy to have a look at that as well. I will review metal bands as well, and rock bands, and also folk bands as well, jazz bands. If you're a funk artist, a soul artist, a singer-songwriter, maybe you're an acoustic player, or if you're a flamenco player or a classical musician as well, I will review you. However, I tend to steer clear of the mainstream, not through being a snob. It's just I find that sometimes with a lot of modern pop and dance, it can have a bit of a manufactured and derivative sort of quality to it. And I'm not saying all pop music is like that, all mainstream music is like that, but sometimes I find it difficult to connect to it and be passionate. However, if I feel that your music doesn't quite suit this blog page, I can point you in the direction of another blogger. I do have blogging contacts on Facebook and Twitter, and I can point you in the right direction of somebody that can help you. But if you were to submit some music, there are certain things that I need you to do for me. And one, to make things easier for both of us, if you've got a social media presence, so by that I mean a Facebook page, an Instagram profile and a Twitter account, if you can provide me with the links to those, I will follow you, and then it's easy for me to tag you into reviews. Especially on Twitter, we can sort of retweet each other's tweets about your music and my review, and it gets a lot more exposure. So if you can add those, also with it, say if it was a track for example or an album, if you would send me as many links as possible to that one thing, if you've just released it on a multitude of platforms, what I tend to do is try and make my reviews like a mini website. So say for example you released a single on iTunes, Spotify, Bandcamp, and maybe you put out a music video or the track on YouTube as well. Just provide me with all of those, because not everyone has Spotify or iTunes. Some people aren't so familiar with Bandcamp either, so it would just really help. If it's that you've just released it on one platform, I really understand that. I don't release my own music on several platforms as well, so just send me what you've got really. Another thing that I do as well is I base my reviews on Facebook, and usually do a text review, and then with my iPhone I video capture that as a scrolling video of the text, and I upload that to Instagram and YouTube to get more exposure. What I try and do, if you've got the your music on Bandcamp, if you could provide me with that as well, I can edit in, if that's okay with you, about a minute or less of your track. The reason I do that is because of restrictions with sites like iTunes and Spotify. It's very difficult to sort of mesh and edit the music onto my videos, but with Bandcamp I can. And it just means that on somewhere like Instagram, I do put the links, but it's difficult to copy and paste those, and people have to write it down. So it just means that it's more immediate, and people can get an impression of your music straight away with my words coupled together, and it's like the impact of that. Same on YouTube, really. I do provide the links, but if someone was watching on a smart TV, they haven't got the access to the links. So if they actually heard your music and saw my words, then that would grab their attention, and then they'd seek you out. So it's really just those key points, and I do have a 3 to 4 week waiting list. I do blog elsewhere, and I am a musician myself, so I'm not always blogging on the Sound World. So it just takes a little bit of time for the reviews to come out. And actually, from experience, I wouldn't recommend that any reviews come out on the day of your music release, because the review will get lost in your own promotion of your track, and it's often good to let the dust settle a bit, so to speak, and then for me to put my review out days or maybe a week or so or longer after after your music release, and it kind of reinvigorates and gets you more exposure. So I hope that all makes sense. I look forward to your submissions, and thank you very much for your support of Theresa's Sound World. Cheers for now.